Pineal Stories is intended for information and educational purposes only. The content shared on this podcast should not be taken as medical advice. We aim to raise awareness and foster thoughtful discussion around symptomatic pineal cysts. We are not providing medical guidance or diagnosis. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional regarding any medical concerns or decisions. Every individual situation is unique, and only your doctor can help you determine the best course of action for your health. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us again. We're here with Chelsea, and Chelsea has quite the journey. She actually sent us a write-up of it. It's like 7, 8, no, it's 9 pages long, isn't it? It's 9 pages
It's
long.
oh,
So, you know what? Tell your story.
okay. That's crazy. My symptoms actually kind of started when I was like 20, 21. I started getting headaches. You know, okay. I started getting headaches with major light sensitivity and was usually able to sleep it off. I kind of figured it was from the hormones and everything going on. I became pregnant in 2016, and the headaches picked up quite a bit to the point I went to stand up one day and I passed out just randomly. 4 months pregnant, they made me go to the hospital, all that good stuff. They told me they thought it was just my blood pressure. We continued with all this. I gave birth. The headaches continued to the point honestly, I thought I was pregnant again. I was like 22 at this point, and I thought I was pregnant, and I was trying to figure out how. I know this sounds crazy, but I was trying to figure out how. I went to my OB, and he kept telling me that's not the case. There's more going on here. I was throwing up every morning. Like, as soon as I would stand up, I was having to make it to the bathroom. And it was just bile. That's all it ever was just bile. And I had the dizziness continued. Let me the dizzy I had left pain on my left side, and my OB ordered some scans, and he found that I did have a mass on my kidney, which at that point he told me I needed to go get a PCP and figure out what was going on. So I did that. I got the nephrologist also for the spot on my kidney. And my PCP, he really, at the time, I'm going to call him Dr. M, he really didn't listen to what I had going on. He was convinced that I had MS from the nausea, and I had a little bit of like facial tingling and some arm, like I could see how he would have thought I had MS at the time. I was for it. He ordered an MRI. He done it. He told me no news was good news. I remember that good old part of it. Told me no news was good news. I continue to see him. I'm getting sicker. My nephrologist, he had he he was actually really good. Like, he asked a lot of questions about things that were going on, and he was concerned that I could have had cancer, but none of my blood work was showing anything. And so I was just like I was just kind of left bouncing whenever they seen me, whatever it was. Till it was about Christmas. It was Christmas. I kept Googling it. I didn't sleep. I had severe insomnia. I could go days without sleeping at this point, and I would just sit up at night and I would try to figure out what was wrong with me. And then I might lay down for a couple hours, but it didn't last long, and it really wasn't a sleep.
Mhm.
I would go to work, wake up, same thing every day. I did everything kept leading back to a brain tumor, and all of my Googles, all of my symptoms, and I'm like, "If I had a brain tumor, wouldn't they have told me in that MRI?" I have a nephrologist at this point, I've got a spot on my kidney, what's going on? So I get access to, like, a MyChart, their MyChart, and what was crazy is I actually worked at this hospital at the time when all this started. And, so I got into my MyChart, and I ended up pulling up my records with my MRI records with images, and I seen it, and I could see something was there, and I knew that wasn't supposed to be there. And so then I seen at the bottom, it said that there was a 6 millimeter incidental finding of pineal cyst. And I was like, okay. So I was crazy. I'm not like it was a lot for me to woo, withstand that moment. So I had a follow-up appointment with my nephrologist at this point, and I go in and I tell him what I found, and I actually showed it to him and printed it off, and I showed it to him, and he panicked. He panicked, which obviously made me panic, and he told me he thought I could have had, like, kidney cancer that had traveled and, like, metastasized
Mhm.
to my brain. So I went crazy, crying. Um, I called my husband, my sister, and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law actually took me to the hospital, and they gave me a migraine cocktail. That was the scariest situation. It was like they actually told me that they put one of the medications in too fast, so the way it ran through, I got this rush. My mother-in-law said it was like I was, like, jumping off the table, like, out of my
Hmm.
bed. I remember her, "Get some help in here," and I'm just freaking out. So after that happened, I did not wanna go back to the hospital, to the ER for anything that happened. Um, a lot of this happened, like, I was working at the hospital when
What were you
COVID.
doing there? Tell the folks
I
what you
was
did
in the
there.
lab. I was in the lab. And so I ha I handled a lot of the COVID
Mhm.
situations and all of that. And everything they just wanted to blame everything on COVID, 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 and the problem with this is I was having these problems in 2017, 2016 before COVID,
Mhm.
and so I went to Doctor M, and that was my PCP, and at this point, I had calmed down a little bit. um, I went to an oncologist, and they told me that there was no cancer detected in my body. The hospital sent me over there. They said there was no cancer in me, which I hate to even discuss that, but I was thankful for that. And I kind of had to regroup there for a minute to be able to step back into this all after that. And he told me he thought a lot of it was COVID. I got kicked out from their practice. He sent me a letter, told me that he could not be my doctor no more because of I wouldn't accept COVID as an answer, you know?
Hmm.
And after from the oncologist, from the nephrologist, like I would not accept that as an answer.
Mhm.
And so he sent me a letter. He told me he wasn't gonna I still got the letter actually. He told me he couldn't be my PCP no more. I find out about the whole um, Amelia is what I called my tumor. I called her Amelia. It was easier for me. My sister actually came up with that. So, um, I I all of that, I took a minute, things kept getting worse. I do know that, like, my symptoms, the vomiting, I gained. It was really weird. It was like I gained a good 35, almost 40 pounds, and bigger than I had ever been with either one of my children, pregnant. And then I just rapidly started losing it. It was like it all went away and some. And just from being sick, I had no appetite. That was another thing. I had no appetite. Like, I didn't get the sense of hunger at all. Like, my trying to eat, I would like choke on it, trying to get it to go down. They did a surgery to stretch my esophagus, I think is what it was. They put like a rubber band thing in there, and it was pointless at this point. Um, I went through it was so much. I did in the course of this, I went to a different I got a different PCP after him, Dr. M, telling me there was nothing and COVID and all that. So I'm going to call him Dr. L because I don't want to use his name. But he is he's just his own mess. Is what I can say about that. He's his own mess. I went to him, and at first he seemed like he was going to help me. My nephrologist had sent him everything. He It seemed okay for the first couple of visits, but then it turned into, I believe you're depressed. I think you're anxious. Let's try this medication. And then that medication wasn't working, and they wanted to try this medication. And it got, to, he told me at one point, I went in there, and after we had done all of this pill changing, which the last doctor done a lot of pill changing too because of anxiety and depression. Which, I mean, was I anxious? Yes. Was I depressed? Yes. I'm not downplaying that, but there was more to it than that because I
Right.
hadn't always been like that.
Mhm.
And so I got suicidal from
Mhm.
all of that, and with everything going on. uh he told me my husband, he's busy with the kids right now, but he's 10 years older than me. Okay, he's a fantastic guy, but I don't see why a doctor used that as a manipulation tactic there. And he accused my husband of being older than me, so he was manipu manipulating me that I was in a mentally abusive relationship, and it was causing me to make all of this up in my head, and that's in
Wow.
my medical record. Just it's in
Wow.
there solidly. Yeah. Um,
I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
I if I've been with him we've been together for 13 years, I could not fathom that, all right? Going on 13 years, but, I could not fathom this, being told this, and I ended up I got up, he did this test, on the computer. He told me to answer these questions. And I kind of knew what the questions were, and I answered them honestly, but I have no idea what he was clicking away at and why he was asking so quickly all of this stuff and all of that. He comes back and he tells me that I just did a test and I have multiple personality disorder and some BPD or something like that, I think. I couldn't even, along with my husband, and needless to say, my sister, who was sitting right there beside me for all this, I just got up and walked out of the room. All right. I cannot, you're not putting me on anything. We're not doing this. I had went to a counselor because I knew I was struggling with everything that I had been told. I was a mom. I have two children. Like I know I wasn't coping right. I knew I needed help, but I also know I was not in the situation they were making it out to be for that to be happening to me. And so I had been talking to a counselor and I called her for an emergency visit. And I took my sister with me and I told her everything that this Dr. L had put in my medical record. He also told me that he believed I falsified my MRI records because he could not prove where they came from. So you mean that fax from the other hospital here in town didn't do it? Like,
Oh
How
my
would you
gosh.
even
Yeah.
do that? My
yes,
gosh.
I
Photoshopping an MRI? Is
falsified.
that?
Yes,
Okay,
Wow.
we
yes.
have heard of the doctor's medical gaslighting from multiple people, but this is over the
This
That's next
top.
man
level.
This man
Yeah.
came in, so the day all this happened, here I am distraught, everything I went through, which at this point I was holding it together better than I had been because like I had to take some time to process, get
Mhm.
my head level. Okay, the day he did this, he came in so excited he was going on a trip to Disney World with his family. And why do I know that? Why did I need to know that when you came in my room?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then for him to tell me all of the baffling things that he did, I couldn't. I walked out. And what I had done some training in that hospital is all I can say. So I don't trust nothing no more. I can't say that. I don't trust nothing no more. Um But I went to my counselor and I showed her everything that was going on. And she told me, Chelsea, she said, I got a letter actually from her too. She sent me a certified letter stating that under her findings, I was not crazy. I was very valid in where I was. And she suggested me to get completely out of my local medical network.
Mhm.
And I did. Me and my sister, we got in the car and we drove to the Cleveland Clinic where she advised me to. Um, that woman, that woman was a godsend in a way that I didn't know I needed. And it was just a very touching thing that she helped me the way she did. But I went up there. They confirmed for me that there was no cancer in my body. And the spot on my kidney was a simple cyst. And that the spot in my brain could be a cyst or it could have been a pineocystoma. But was technically no way for them to know what was what, whether it's fluid filled or whether it's solid.
Mhm.
And one was rare. Well, they're both rare, but for a pineocystoma was even rarer. Like I can't remember the percentage that they put on it or that, but they were pretty confident it was just a fluid filled cyst, and I would live a perfect life. You know how they made it out.
Mhm.
So I was happy, honestly, to find that out. I was happy. I'm not going to downplay that by no means. Um, I came home. I got a private PCP, is what I did there. I stayed away from the hospital. I got a private doctor. I paid cash for him. And he kind of just monitored me. I had some episodes which I now know were strokes, mini strokes. I didn't know. I kind of had an idea from my medical knowledge, but I wouldn't admit it if I'm being honest with myself. I had these episodes where I could vomit over 14, 15 times a day. I would pass out, wake up in the floor in my own mess. It was gross. It happened. Um, and my neurologist, he put me on shots at one point, different pills. I so many different medications, and none of it worked. None
Right.
of it worked.
Mhm.
I think the only thing that I took was a Ketorolac pill, and it would kind of like relieve some tension a little bit. But did it help? No, not really. Not really. I think it just kind of eased a little bit, if that makes sense. Like just some tension, but nothing helped any of these headaches or episodes. Like there was nothing. I just had to live with it. I just had to do it, get through it.
Yep.
And then I would sleep. I would sleep so much. I remember Joey, he would tell me how he would try to wake me up and I wouldn't wake up. And he wanted to know like if I had taken a sleeping pill because he had came and, like physically like tried to wake me up and I wouldn't wake up. And I was sleeping like 18 hours at a time when I did sleep. And there I stopped. He put me on Ambien, I think is what it was. There was two different like sleeping medications that he put me on too, and that it did. I know I listened to your guys' podcast and I know you guys had some rough experiences. Just know we did too. Like we did too. We actually I there was so much going on. I went and stayed at my dad's for a few weeks and I detoxed from everything that I was on. And we had to just like revisit some things because it wasn't me and it was never me. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
whatever was going on with me.
Mhm.
In our
And
case, we called it upside down Kelly
Yeah.
because we like Stranger
yes,
Things,
I
and it's
mean, it
right the
wasn't,
opposite
it's
of
not your
her.
fault. It literally changed
I I
chemistry in your
remember
brain.
Yeah.
Joey would look at me and he would be like, I don't know what you're doing right now. I don't even know what you're thinking. And Lord help us. One day, a girl might have been in her episode, and I wouldn't let him out the bedroom door. I would not let him out the bedroom door because
You wouldn't let
in
him
my
leave? Is that,
mind,
I'm
if
sorry.
he, my bad,
Oh,
go ahead.
okay. Sorry. I couldn't, I
Oh.
wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure. You said
Oh.
you wouldn't let him out the bedroom
I
door?
would I wouldn't let him out of
Okay.
the bedroom door because I was scared that if he left, he was leaving. If that makes,
Mm.
I know that
Yeah.
sounds,
Yeah.
but
No.
I did. And he ended up crawling through the bedroom window and then right back in the front door to be like, I'm here.
Oh,
There was, I don't know. There was a lot of things, but I did. I went and I stayed at my dad's. He was an over the road truck driver. It was me and my sister there and our kids, and I detoxed and I had, I felt better, but I was not better, if that made
mhm.
sense. I just don't think I had some of the extra cloudiness that was going on. And I came back home and I sat down and I was like, we're going to revisit all this and we're going to get going on it and see where we end up. And I ended up getting my mother-in-law's mom asked if we had ever looked on Facebook or something because she had watched a story where, they used Facebook to reach out and find somebody,
Right.
like situations. And so I did. And that's how I found that this group, the Pineal cyst, that I
Mhm.
can't think of the name, but the Pineal cyst group.
Just say the sisters.
Yeah, I found that group and I posted in there a little bit. Some of my symptoms didn't match kind of like other people's, which I've learned now, but at the time, like I just really wasn't sure. And I was a little scared to put everything out there because of some of the accusations like we have faced with
Mhm.
this. Um,
You're one of the
I
first that has had similar, um,
symptoms.
W-
yes,
The progression and everything, and
yes,
something that was not in our podcast is the fact that Kelly went out to my mom's house and spent a
I
few
did.
days
I do
a
remember
couple of
going to your
times,
mom's.
I
just to kind of get away and reset a little bit.
And I think part of that too, I think first of all, I think that we had some severe, you and I had some severe cases, but I
Hmm.
do think that it's hard to talk about. I
it
mean, it's,
there's there's some things that I still don't know if I'm ready to,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I
absolutely.
feel
Yes. Yeah.
I feel horrible for some of the things my husband went through.
Oh,
I do. And I know
yes.
hearing y'all's story actually helped me a little bit.
Oh,
Oh,
But there was some things that
yeah,
I'll
I,
always be sorry for, is what I
same.
can um, but
But you have to remember it wasn't you
yeah.
as
yes,
much, but
and
you still,
that
saying
is the
that,
greatest thing is
it's still
that
hard to separate that though. I get it. I get it
yeah,
100% because I can't let myself go down that spiral
Mm.
because
yes,
there's
it'll
nothing
get
that
you there.
yeah,
Hmm.
you will feel so
Yeah,
guilty and so remorseful, and there's
there's
nothing
nothing I
that
can
you can do to fix that. You know what I
do. No,
mean? But
no.
so,
I'm just
my
thankful
husband,
my
he has to
husband,
remind me that it wasn't me. Doesn't matter how many times he
yes,
reminds me of
Hmm.
that, I'm still gonna feel
yes,
bad
I'm still gonna
because
feel it.
that was one of the worst parts for me was knowing how much I hurt my family.
Yes,
That was probably
I
one of the
it's the
worst.
one thing I never wanna do, and I did it. Not
Right. Yeah.
and I couldn't
Yep.
Yeah.
help it.
You couldn't help it. It wasn't you.
I just want
Yeah,
to interject, and I don't want to derail this at all because this is awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. It's
No,
awesome for
but
what we're
I
doing.
I'm so glad
But
that
what I
you are sharing your story. I'm so
yes,
happy for everybody,
it
but I just want to say I know firsthand how hard it is for you to be sharing these things. I know, I
yeah,
get it.
eh,
When we first recorded ours, I had to take a couple of breaks. We both
I
did.
can I can I get
well,
it.
and what I want to say is that there are times now where I feel guilty because being on the receiving end, which
Yeah.
husbands tend to be on the receiving end, um, we need to talk about it sometimes, and it's hard for it to sink into us um, that those discussions can be difficult because you're talking to the same physical entity that was there when it happened, and
Yeah.
I can very casually talk about this stuff now, but because I mean it was terrible to go through, but it's over.
Yeah.
It's in the
But
past,
it's
and it was
that's kind
somebody
of
else.
what Toby is. He's like, well, we did it and we
Yeah,
done it. And I'm
and
like,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
talking
but
about a different person, but it's still not
yeah,
great for Kelly when I talk about that other person. So I got to
yeah,
be real careful about that.
I
Anyway,
get
that's
he's sort of I get it.
yeah.
I get that. I just I we revisited it and I posted in that group and it was Betty who
Mhm.
commented on there and she told me that Dr. Swagerman in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I said that backwards, but would be closer to me than Dr. Patel.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And that I would stand more of a chance getting to him. And so I was with my neurologist, and that man, I he wasn't benefiting me, but I needed him, if that makes sense. I needed his referral
Yes.
Right,
to
yeah.
Dr. Swagerman. So even though he didn't believe me, Imma be hon he didn't believe me. He thought it was just a simple, slow-growing cyst,
Mhm.
and his words to me was, "Going to Milwaukee would be a waste of my time and money."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, respectfully, sir, I've already met him." And he told me the complete opposite. And he believes I need this surgery and, all of this. I've just got to do some neuropsychology testing. I had to see an ophthalmologist, or no, was it? Yeah, an ophthalmologist, neuropsychology testing. Um, there was a lot of tests
Right.
that I had to do.
Mhm.
MRIs, a lot. But the neuropsychology testing, it I kind of I didn't like it by no means, but I liked what I learned from it. Um, they were able to confirm that I had had at least 3 strokes,
Wow.
and I had had 2 in the time that Dr. Wagaman first seen me till the time that I had got insurance and got the testing done and got back. So I had had 2 more, and I had had no care here at home. My neurologist, "Well, you shoulda went to the hospital." Walk into that hospital in my shoes and see if you wanna go in there.
Hmm.
See if
Mm.
you wanna go in there for that because I thought they were killing me at one point. I'm not gonna lie, it scared me that bad. Like, I didn't wanna go, and I felt like I lived in doctor appointments and doctor visits and this,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to, and I knew they wasn't going to believe me, they wasn't going to help me, it was gonna be the whole thing when you looked in my record and seen where this doctor thinks, "Oh, she's been on medication, she walked out of the room when I diagnosed her with all this and blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Like, no, I when you look at my medical record, it's like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's a lot of what I got. So no, I didn't. I laid in the floor and my husband was trying I was getting gonna get sick and he was having a little snacky snack in bed, late night snack, and I was laying here and I guess the smell or who knows what happened. I could have just rolled over wrong at that point because anything I was headed to the bathroom to
Mhm.
vomit. So I didn't want, we have a bathroom here in our room, and I didn't want to eat. Who wants to hear you yak while you're eating a snack? Nobody wants that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I took off to the end of the house and I didn't make it.
Oh,
Everything went red and I smacked the floor. I didn't
Oh
get
no.
sick, but I like passed out. And everything was red and my head was hurting and everything just looked red like blood
mhm.
is what it looked like. And of course he heard me and my dogs. Oh, that, I was okay, but I was not okay. So
Mm-hmm.
he came to me and I'm trying to get to the bathroom because I think when I come to, I remember screaming everything was red and I was hot. Like I felt so hot. And Joey was holding me at this point. Like he took me to the bathroom, but he said I was pouring sweat and my whole body was just hot, but I was sweating. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember him telling me he was calling an ambulance, and I told him no, he wasn't. And I just told him to get a wet towel, because I had been in instances where I was already in the bathroom getting sick by myself, home by myself. And that was what would help me. If I
Mm-hmm.
could even flop myself into the tub and get some cold water going on me, that would help me with my episode. And I'm going to say
Yeah.
episode because it was an ugly situation, with
Right.
all the vomiting and passing out. And my daughter, I have a bonus baby. She's 19 now. And one day she actually came in and found me that way. And she had to go get my medicine, some Finnegan, and it really wasn't working that day. And that it scared that little girl. And I'll never forget that, because I never wanted nobody to see me at my
Right.
worst. So I
No,
tried to
of
hide
course.
it. I really did try to hide it because I didn't want them to know. But she did. She's seen that one day. Um that Dr. Swaggerman is actually the one who told me that from all of my scans that he done and seen, that he had before and after. And in the time, that was the thing too, my PCP down here had ordered just a yearly MRI too.
Mhm.
And I went ahead and done it just to see what the difference was from all of these scans. And that's actually how the stroke was caught on the
Mm.
scans for Dr. Swaggerman.
Wow.
So that didn't know that at the time because I wasn't getting no care here, but he was able to take it off. When I got accepted over to him as a patient, when my neurologist, I did not ask, I demanded he send me a referral up there. And he didn't like it, but he did it because I demanded it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
He
Yeah.
had to do it at that point. So I was accepted there within 3 or 5 days. They called me, told me he was taking me as a patient. I had to get all of my records from everywhere, every scan I had, all of that. And I sent it up there to him. And he did his thing. He brought me up there. He told me that surgery is not, you do not have brain surgery for headaches. And I remember telling him, well, this is a lot more than headaches.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
more to this than
This
the
is not
headaches.
mere
Like if it was
headaches.
just headaches, I don't think I'd be here. And
Wow.
so I
Yeah.
did all of his testing. I did everything he asked of me to. And he went through all of my record. I didn't even tell them about what Dr. L had accused my husband of, and me making everything up. And Dr. Swaggerman did not like that was even in my medical record, especially when I was presented with my husband, you know what I mean? At that
Right.
time, like
Yeah.
he could see the genuine concern in my husband, and he did. He spoke with Joey about things himself. He spent it was a good hour and a half in there with us our first visit, and he went through everything. Well, I had another episode in the time of the whole insurance, getting that verified, which I got, that scam. I had the surgery. I was approved for it. I had it August 15th of last year. It was waking up from that. I could hear Joey's voice. It sounded so clear and so much of a voice that I didn't even know I wasn't hearing. Right? So to hear, it's weird. I had a little bit of not a major photographic memory before, but when that tumor was in there, I had a mental decline.
Yes.
I had a severe mental decline there, and the neuropsychology testing proved all of that. That was actually pretty cool too. It proved what parts of my brain, like my right frontal lobe, I still do have damage to it from the strokes. And like there's some things, but everything else, my photographic memory, it's like it's came back. I'm remembering things that I completely forgot about. And
Yes.
it's like, how is that back? And my symptoms, all of my symptoms are gone. Like the only type of headache I get now is if I have like some sinus pressure. It makes it a little more sensitive in there. I can usually pick up on it faster before it's anything major.
And you're 1 year post, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
15th.
So
said
that
August,
is incredible. I mean, just the similarities, the fact that you and I both, how severe it was, and every single one of my symptoms are gone too. It took about a full year for me to completely recover and have my last episode almost a year to the day, and nothing since. And the same with me. If I get a headache
See?
now, I notice it's kind of hormone related. I get headaches
See,
pretty badly around my time of the month, but
I'm so glad you said that because I am trying my cycle was messed up. Everything was messed up while I had the tumor, and
oh yeah,
there's things that's came back to normal that I'm kind of wondering, girl, did you even notice that was messed up? You know, because
I agree with, yes,
and my
same.
memory was so off. I I remember burning food, which was something I didn't do, but I was burning food. I messed up multiple dinners trying to cook because I stopped working. I didn't work. I was at home doing the best I could, and honestly, Joey pulled the weight more than a lot of people would. I can say that. Like that he came in clutch a lot. He knew how to hold it down.
I say the same
Um,
about Michael. I think that we need to talk to him too. I think
I
he would
I
be.
I know. If he wouldn't, our daughter, she made some big moves today in life. We're actually pretty proud of her. So he's off with her
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
our other
That's
two
awesome.
children today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't
So
mean
We had
specifically
talked
right
about
now. I
him
just
doing it
meant,
with her, but it just didn't work out scheduling
yeah,
wise.
well,
So
I didn't necessarily mean we have to do it tonight, but
at some
if
point,
yeah,
at some point
we would love
hey,
to.
we
you
have
can
spoken
because I
to,
think I think it would do him some good too. I think you and him could probably
They can
relate a
relate.
little
We
bit
could commiserate.
there.
We could just that will be a 7-hour-long
Because there's
episode.
literally nobody still so far that
It,
Michael has been able to talk to that could fully relate, can
yeah.
fully 100% relate to.
I there was some really dark times along all of this. And there was times that I felt like it was just better off if I would like give up, and I had a whole plan is what I can say. Like, and I did. I had a whole plan to make it easier is
Mhm.
what I had in my head. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For my family. And I'm so thankful that I didn't, and I did get help and go from there, because and that you guys are doing this now, because I've always wondered and was worried about all these other people who aren't getting help and don't get their story out there, and
Yeah.
I don't want nobody to have to go through this, because I know what I lived for the last 5-6 years, and
Mhm.
that's how long it was. It will break somebody. It will.
Absolutely. It
Right.
steals so
It's.
much. And
I remember my neurologist saying it's a slow growing cyst. No, it was slowly killing me. I
mhm.
never knew what the next day was going to bring.
Mhm.
I could not go out with my children and do something without knowing. We were mowing the yard one day. I was out there with my son. We had a little yard at the time, and he wanted to mow, wanted to push mow. Okay. And so I'm out there with him. It ended with me falling out in the yard, getting too high. And thank God my sister was there, because I was just with my son, like we would go on hikes or we would go
Yeah.
do something. And then in an instant, anything could change. A headache could hit, which I say headache, but
It's
they were so
indescribable.
much more than
Yeah.
headaches. It
Mhm.
was like, it was so much more. No light, no sound, no, if you could get
Tying
away from the toilet, like,
tying ice packs. I would tie
yes,
ice packs to my head and as tight as possible for some
yes.
reason, the
Or
pressure,
mustard on your feet. I seen that on, so I tried just about anything,
anything for relief. Yeah.
anything. I did so many detoxes over the course of this. I changed the way I ate. I did anything and everything, and nothing mattered. It was, you never knew what you were going to experience that day, and
Yeah.
it could change in an instant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I didn't want, I hated it on my kids and my
Yeah.
husband, and really my whole family, but, like, the kids that,
Having to see mom like that, it's rough. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
hard. It was hard, and I just don't want, the crap with these doctors, and there's a couple of them, I don't feel they should have that doctor on their name, because the things that has been said to me throughout this, I there's just, I can't get it out of my medical record either. The whole crap with my husband, I can't I can't get it out of my record here. I
Yeah.
talked to some state, I can't even remember now what the name of the person was, but I'm pretty much, I would have to pay thousands of dollars to contest it to even have it removed.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that is irksome, all in its own, and it's just going to be there. But when I went for my follow-up and from the sutures and all that, that was one thing that Freighter mentioned, was they were like, well, now you have the proof that you can show them what this
Yes.
was and, go from there. And I did. I told my neurologist about it, and he said, "Okay, well, call me if you ever need me again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't seen him since. Like, that was his
Yeah.
response. "Okay, well, call me if you need me again. If the headaches come back."
Well,
Uh,
I was gonna say, yeah, the proof is in the pudding. You had all of these symptoms and all of this stuff happening, and then you had the
I
surgery. You had
remember
brain
him telling
surgery,
me, "It's
and
too
you're
rare
cured.
for that to happen to me.
You
I
were,
was too young, and it was too rare for it to
Oh my
happen to
God.
me."
yeah. Well,
Yes.
that same thing
Yeah.
with, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
same thing.
Yep.
And we have
Oh,
an
And
it's
age
such a
difference as
nightmare.
well. I'm
But
50.
only 7 years
I'm
for
54
us.
years old, and for the past 18 years or so, Kelly's been 29. So, yeah, 18. So she's been
I
29 for 18 consecutive years. So well done.
see, Joey, it's like 9 years and some change there of
So
our
about the
age
same.
gap. So I'm always, when like, I'm 30 now, he's 40 now. You
And
know
we
what
have
I
been
mean?
married, it'll be 15
15. Yeah.
years in
Yeah.
Really
December.
lots of similarities
Yeah, a
in our
lot of
See,
situation.
similarities.
September 4th will be our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Very
So,
cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's coming up soon.
thank you.
congratulations coming up.
It's
A decade's a big milestone.
Mhm.
all of this, from everything we went through, between my husband and my sister, I don't think I would have made it if
I wouldn't have
because
made it without yeah, there's no
my
way.
husband, he was my backbone when I couldn't be.
Mhm.
And my sister, she did a lot of, when that happened to us, and when I had to come home and tell him what this doctor said to me, I know that scared him. Like, I know it did. And so my sister instantly stepped in and began helping me advocate for myself and everything. And I was very thankful for her for that too. And but the group got me to where I needed to be, because none of the doctors down here were ever going to give me the help I needed. They didn't believe in it. My primary care doctor, when I came walking back from surgery and he wanted to see me when I got back. And when I walked into that office, they all clapped. Like, they all
Oh,
thought it was the most amazing thing that I had this crazy brain surgery from this crazy situation. Like, they were just amazed. I do have a good primary care doctor and team now, which helped me through that there at the end. I wish maybe I would have had them in the beginning. Might have changed a little bit there.
but that's really
Um,
cool. Very, very cool. I like
yeah. And so I know if they ever come across somebody who has had situations like this, that's going to trigger it for them. They're
Mhm.
going to know, wait, this is possible.
Mhm.
But I just wish, and I really do pray, with more awareness and everything that is brought to this, that more people do start realizing what it is and the symptoms. It's almost the symptoms of it, I feel like, were what was hurting me worse than just having it. Does that, like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
never knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Right.
Eh,
Kind of like
And
what
my
we say, they say, "Oh, it's a pineal cyst. You can't die from it." Okay. Sure. The physical cyst inside your brain, that maybe
them
won't kill
strokes that
you.
I had, I
But
feel like
Mhm.
we're pretty
the
close to ending
symptoms
it there.
the symptoms
Mhm.
absolutely
Yes.
could lead to somebody dying. I mean, um, I got down to 116 pounds.
Yes.
I was
And Kelly's
literally,
5'10".
yeah, I
Ooh,
was
see, I'm
skin and
5'2", and I
bone.
dropped to 94 the day
Oh
of
my
my
gosh.
surgery.
And then I was doing
Mm.
dangerous things. Like, I didn't even know until he told me that I was climbing up into our attic
Mhm.
like that. I
All that
was
stuff. Yeah.
leaving the house in the middle of the night barefoot, walking.
But I remember there was things I did, and Joey, he would just kind of like shake his head at me. Like it was almost like there's no point in saying nothing to her. We're going to fight, but I can't allow her to do this. So it was almost like he would weigh the pros with the cons of what could was it life or death scenarios here? Like, do we let her
Yes.
go a little bit or do we just what was crazy
Wow.
though
Yeah.
was while I had that tumor, I had a mental decline, like with my book smarts and my just the way I am, and now back to, but I became so creative. Like I started a keychain business. I
Oh, that's
somehow knew
cool.
how to sew. I started doing these weird things, and now that I do not have that tumor, not a crafty thing back in me. So it was really weird how things changed.
That's
Like,
mind blowing. Kelly was doing
yes,
water painting
Yeah.
and poetry and stuff that
Writing songs,
Yeah.
all kinds of inspiration, creativity going a lot. That's so weird. Yeah. And I
it
don't really
was
get those sparks
I don't
anymore in that way, in
Mhm.
I
different ways.
don't do it no more now, but I did. I got real crafty, and it was like I could do different things, and now I can't do that again.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Wow.
I think it's because I'm a year out with it now. I kind of notice different things from what was my norm to what became my norm to now what is a new norm for me.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's different. I remember I didn't actually know that I couldn't feel things on my face until I kept saying and telling them that I couldn't tell the temperature. And I never got to make up the temperature. I could walk outside and people could say it was a beautiful day, but if the sun looked at me wrong, my body could think it was 110 degrees and I was going to pass out from getting too hot. Or if it was cold, there was no in between. There was my sister, we have pictures of where like my skin kind of turned purple and then it was like my blood was freezing and I had to get in and get warmed up and in my knees, which I was really small at the time too. But really, I was just trying to help her change a tire on her car that day. And it went south so quick because I got so cold. And then that they took pictures of that and Raynaud's syndrome, I
I've
think
heard of
was
that
something.
syndrome. Yeah, I've heard of that.
I think
Hmm.
that was something that they threw in there that they said that I had during all of this. But after my surgery, I noticed different things like Joey's voice. I could actually see like the sun. I could look at it. And when I had my tumor, I could not walk outside without sunglasses covering my face. Like I could not stand any type of light. It
Mhm.
hurt. It was
Mhm.
like I was being stabbed in my eyes. I could not handle it. At I could not. I had blacked out everything. My car, it was I don't have to do that no more.
For
But
me
there for a
too,
while, I did.
Mhm.
familiar things that should have been familiar to me when I still had the tumor were foreign a lot of the times. Like even my own house or family, just I could be sitting in a room and think that something seemed off. I couldn't tell you
Yep.
what it was, but
Yep.
it just didn't seem right. Something seemed off. And the
And it
memory
was really
issue,
Mhm.
yeah, my short-term memory was pretty much non-existent. It was
yes. Yes. That
horrific.
was that so when I did my neuropsychology testing, they actually explained to us that it was because of the stress my body was living under every day
Mm.
from being chronically sick, which they labeled me as chronically, you know, and muscle dystrophy. And they said that my brain just could not store the memory. It was not, that's why I could only remember something if it was like prominent, like traumatic was the word I like to use. Like if it really affected me, then I could remember it. But if it was just, oh, I got this to do later, do you think you could do this or pick this up or anything simple, you best believe I wasn't remembering it. I could write it down and I still wasn't going to remember that I wrote it down. Like it was non-existent. It was to the point if I forgot, like Joey, it was a typical thing. If he said something to me and I forgot, he would just be like, you forgot. Yep. Okay. It's fine. Like, and we would just go on because why even get upset about it? There's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I would be driving. I actually got to the point where I wouldn't drive for a bit because I would be driving and I forgot where I was going. Yeah. And I would have to pull over and sit there. Now, why did I come to town? Why did I do this? And there was times I could not remember. I would just go back home.
Wow.
Because what was I doing there? I'll just head on back.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a important one.
Awfully familiar.
Awfully familiar.
Honestly,
Very
that was the
important
whole thing,
one.
hearing your guys's, and then I was like, okay, so I wasn't just.
You're not crazy. You're not.
Yeah, I'm not crazy.
Not crazy. It wasn't you. And I mean, nobody's going to want to get brain surgery that doesn't need brain surgery. But I got to the point where I would rather, and I told him this, I know I did, that I would rather be dead than continue to go on hurting my family and living and just surviving. I wasn't living anymore. I was just a shell of a person. I'm just breathing. I couldn't even foresee I needed help. I was desperate. And it sounds like you had that same feeling.
And that when I met with Dr. Zwagerman, I ended up writing him a letter when I sent him one of my scans from down here. I wrote him a letter and that man quoted it back to me. And that shocked me. And then he told me that he was willing to do the surgery if I was willing to take the risk. And with everything, I knew the risk of the surgery, but I would do it. I'd do it again. Like, because that is how better I feel. Yes. And I had family, real close family, flip up on me at the end. And was I making it up? Did I really need to do this? And all of that. And no, nobody makes this
Nobody's
up.
going to make that up.
No doctor is going to perform a craniotomy without a reason.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Now, I think my family, I don't know, I got pretty lucky with my family. Nobody had to question, was this because they knew me before. And during, I was a completely different person. It was a complete 180. But then also I did lose over 100 pounds. So people looked at me with pity in their eyes. I looked like I was dying.
The weight loss and the text messages you sent to everybody was probably enough. That was a good combination to say, hey, this is an issue.
There was nothing that I had to do.
I remember I had a stranger tell me, look at me. I was just walking into the gas station. I don't even remember now for what. I was walking in the gas station and he said, you need to get off the drugs or you need to get help. You look sick. And I went in the bathroom at that gas station and cried because I was sick. So thanks, man, for that. I was sick.
Thanks. Who says that
was
somebody?
The moment when I really had to look at myself and I was like, Chelsea, you are sick. Like, it's obvious.
There's a place right there where there's a common expression that crosses over into this, and people like to say it a lot. It's not just in your head. And I like to argue, well, yes, it is, but
it was.
All right, this was awesome. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And everybody, thanks again for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.